Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Depends on wherever you are. Some people are already on Thursday evening, and some have just done 5 hours of the day. Some people are it's around 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock UK time. Most interestingly, there are some places in the states they have I think 3 or 4 different zonal time. So it get as it be. But any which way, it is just some few minutes after 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. UK time. And today is Wednesday. Wednesday. It's been raining. Actually, I tried to go out to do some work around, and for some reasons, for God is I decided to. I decided to go for a 40 row and very small eba, which I just finished and enjoyed it. So, what can I say? I want to welcome you back to this short session of Otumba Who Latest Talk Show. And as usual, I have my regular guest who will be rubbing minds with me, be talking with me and about Nigeria, a little bit of UK, and thereafter we'll be going to talk about YSDM. YSDM, many people want to know YSDM is the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement. I'm one of the campaigners. And I'm happy it's gaining ground that people now coming to understand that we should not be agitating. We are not in that mood, and we should never go into that mood. What we need to do is to campaign reasonably, sensibly, moderately, and then we're going to get there. I know it's not an overnight thing. It takes time. It's a thing that if care is not taken, it could take as long as that of PLO, the Palestinians. But we don't want that. There are some other climb that fought for their freedom. It took them 28 years. There are also some that for a period of time, it was a little bit shorter in the sense that there was so common agreement. Czechoslovakia is casing, and all this put together. So we now know that we can get our aims and objectives if we have the capacity, the ability to to negotiate, to bring by all what it takes to talk our way through having our nation. And the nation we're looking at is Yoruba nation. No doubt about it that we overqualified to come out to emerge as a new nation in the West African country of Africa. And like I said, because we are so blessed, the Yoruba people are so blessed. We have our wherewithal. We have all what it takes to run, to manage our own country. No doubt about it. And the thing is, we also need to understand that managing A country running a country is not like running a food chain company, a Tesco, or gym, a club. No, it just doesn't work that way. It takes a lot of planning, policies, bring large number of advisors, people that would want to be part of that nation building, nation run. It's like I said, it's not a child play. Some people might just be thinking, oh, when we get there, everything's going to be hunky dory, everything's going to be all right, no problem, and we are going to do whatever we want to do. It just doesn't work that way. As you can see, even one of the most liberalized countries or crime in the world, you will still have to follow the rule of law. You will still have to contribute as a citizen of that country. There's a lot that will still be expected of us, and everything is not going to be that resources of that country will just be shared according to your name, according to your connection, according to your whatever it is. No, it will be another time to start to support, work, do everything possible to join that country that we will be looking forward to call Yoruba Nation, or whatever name we decide to call it. There will be everything you are seeing now in the Western world, in the Eastern world, or whatever. There will be a country where everything will be done according to the norm of governance. Hopefully, we're making a difference. We'll be doing it in such a way that they're not going to say, aha, that would never, we hope it doesn't happen. But there are all possibilities. Because also, we are also talking about there are going to be politics. There will be politics. Even if it's going to be one party state, there will still be politics. There will still be politics. There will be campaigning for different positions. There will be different kind of groups. We will also allow a country like that to have different kind of organization, commission, agencies, and so on and so forth. And we also be ready to work with the media. That is the fourth layer. We'll be ready to work with pressure groups. We'll be ready to work with different kind of people. Meanwhile, while I'm making this preamble, my guest is just signed in. Let me welcome my guest for tonight. He's a regular. I mean, somebody say, I know we've seen this face before now, and that's why I said he's my regular. So he's a regular contributor on this page or platform, whatever you want to call it. Welcome, Segun Daniel.
Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Otumba, and I greet all our esteemed viewers from all parts of the world. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be.
Mm.
And we want to hope you have a nice and wonderful day listening to us on this program tonight.
Thank you. I've been doing the kind of a preamble. I've been talking. I've been explaining. I've been introducing not only myself. I've been introducing some subjects, some things we want to discuss tonight, and I'm confident that whatever we agree to discuss, they are going to be quality discussion. They are going to be quality information that are going to be useful, and not be today, tomorrow, or whenever it is. But without further ado, let's get started. We're going to get started with on and about Nigeria, what is going on in Nigeria and Europe, and also uh, the latest news, one of the best news so far for the campaigners, the Yoruba Nation campaigners, that one of the national leader, uh, uh, Chief Sunday Igboho, was released from the. Shall we? I don't know. Shall we call it a detention or? But anyway, any which way, whatever it is, he regained his freedom. He now fly out like a bird. You know when you release a bird, they will just fly you. Sometimes you sometimes you don't even know where they're flying to, because I've never so far GPS. Do you know whether GPS is working for birds? I want to ask you this question, and I will tell you if you are wrong. You must. I want to listen to you first. Is there any bird that has a GPS on them?
Um, yeah, I will want to believe yes. Not in terms of implant of any chips or whatever, but I think it's just a natural the natural composition of their mind. That's the brain of most of the birds, flying birds particularly, that they can navigate and determine where they are going and all that. We have migratory birds that move regularly at a particular time of the year. They move all the way from the Mediterranean to Africa, from Africa to Asia, from Asia to Australia, and to North America. These are migratory birds, and they move all around like that. So there is a determining way of knowing the nocturnal miles and all that, the coordinates of the earth positions. So
Very
because
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, very interesting. I also grew up to know that there are some birds.
there are some, pardon me, there are
Yeah,
some that are what's it called? I mean, they are geotagged. That is locational tagged. That is done by human beings. We can put a tag on them to determine how they migrate, where they go, and all that. So that also helps us in accumulating data and information about them, and to determine or to understand why they move, where they move, how they move, and all that. So that's helpful for we humans, but for the birds, it is expected that these are just intuition to them. It's a natural, it's a natural competence of their being. Some of them swam. I mean, they breed at a particular part of the world, and they raise they 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 feed and eat. I mean, they feed at other parts of the world. When it is time for breeding now, some of them migrate to some part of the world. It could be in Australia. That's where they breed. And once they started laying their eggs and the eggs are hatched and all that, they move entirely to, it could be to Mediterranean. So that's the thing. And they do that year round.
very interesting, and it's also part of the thing that make me to believe, even though not a regular Monday to Sunday or Sunday to Sunday church or mosques, but I still believe in the Almighty that these are wonderful things. That a good example is some of these animals that are below our level of capacity, that
Yeah.
they are able to manage their lives under the water, under the uh, different area of habitat, and they're doing very well. And sometimes they're even, some of them are well organized.
Yeah.
Some, you look at them, that's how could, because there was a time I recorded a bird. This bird, I forgot the name, was gave birth to, I think, four, what do you call it, chicks or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes out to fetch for them, bring and then build up a tent. It's a tent
The
because
nest. The nest.
a nest here, and looking after them until when they get where they are able to put their work on their feet and so on. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Things like this has always fascinated me. I love nature. I love it. Now, okay, let's come to human beings. The way things are, I mean, the situation in the UK. Is any news you think we can share with our listeners about UK as we speak? Anything new apart from the political uh, conferences? Is anything new?
Yeah, there are a few things that are new.
Hmm.
Some are not as popular, but they are equally things that we should pay attention. Anyway, for I just want to quickly chip in when you mentioned about God and all that, worshiping and all that. The beauty of the earth itself is a testimony to how wonderful and how beautiful the work of the handwork of God is. And that should remind us to let us pay attention to. Yeah, there must be there must be a creator that made these things. For them to work harmoniously for the existence of those beautiful creators that we can watch, even our own very being too, to alarm us, to remind us that there is a creator somewhere that makes us to be who we are, that we can be as we are today and even be in dominion of other creatures. That being said, um, the issue of the UK currently, yeah, UK is having its own fair share of the world's economic turmoil. And some I will actually say that it's self-inflicted. It's it's a political decision that have um, um, economic implications. I have argued that was the cost of peace. I mean, if the finance is putting uh, support to what is going on in Ukraine, the money that we are spending in Ukraine must have been coming out from somewhere. And that means you can't hit your cake and have it. It's either we put money in that war, promoting the war, encouraging the war, supporting the war, in one way or the other, rather than seeking for a judge just to resolve it and find a and make a peaceful end to it. That means there will be less money available for housing, there will be less money available to support healthcare services, there will be less money available for any other thing, even maintenance of road and all what have you. So that's why I said there is an equal share of economic issues pertaining to UK. So whatever aid, grant, support, care, or whatever we will be providing for continued war in Ukraine in itself is is a negative to availability of such resources to United Kingdom economy. So we must all bear that in mind. Whether it's because we are prayerful or we are we are um, we are sympathetic to the people of Ukraine that we are plowing such resources. It's immaterial. But the concept the opposite of it is we might save those resources and have a peace dialogue to resolve the matter so that everybody will have a brighter, better living. So, but as of today, that's the political decision. And
Okay.
if those political decisions have been made, it's having an economic implication from it. That being said, the recent conservative conference have indeed thrown up some few other issues, which the way I consider it, the majority of the population have not really understood the details that was mentioned. We will recall that Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, is having is retracing or is stepping back on UK's commitment to net zero. It's shifting the goalpost, not necessarily, it's shifting the date of achieving that net zero aspiration to 2035 uh, by a difference of another 5 years. And even at that, people suspect there might still be a further shift. So, well, if you look at the content of one of the content of what makes the net zero, uh, particularly in the construction and building industry, that is where I want to focus. The most of the Tories, which is the Conservative Party's donor, were people who are actually wealthy, and most of them are captains and commanders of the industry, particularly in construction. Yes. And they have managed to lobby the government because the net zero idea was that should next new building or new housing. In fact, that is the essence of what I want to discuss. The housing that was supposed to be built, new buildings coming up in the United Kingdom, should be insulated, should be fitted with uh, electric pumps for uh, heating, should be solar system paneled housing, so that we have a shift to green energy. But this and the cost of that, when the builder came up with it, they said it's going to cost extra £8,000 for them to introduce those changes that will have given us a leverage in quickly getting to net zero. But the cost is the problem with them. The cost will be, because that the burden of the cost will be borne by the builder. But that is a rule, because in natural sense, they will pass it on. They will definitely pass it on. If they put an added £8,000 in building new housing, they're still going to have that extra, if not more, with a margin on the cost of the house in terms of your mortgage payment. So
Okay.
the idea that they are the one that will bond the cost, maybe in the terms of putting the building into life, making it happen, creating and building the structure. Yes, because that money, that funding will have to come from their construction company. Yes, but eventually that cost will be passed on. However, they were claiming that, well, this is an extra cost that they cannot deal with. So they lobbied the government to make sure that, you know what, for now, you can still continue to build like the old way. Yeah. But mind you, if you look at that if the government now said, well, we still need to focus on net zero, that each household, like the buildings that were before now, because that legislation have not taken off now, that new housing should be fitted with all these facilities to achieve net zero. That has not happened because they have lobbied against it. But if you have to retrofit, which means those existing buildings who needs to be fitted with installation, solar panel, uh, heating pump, for them to be compliant to net zero, the average cost for an householder is £33,000. That is, if you want to make your housing compliant to net zero, it's going to cost a householder 33,000 naira in £33,000 investment. Whereas, if a new building is supposed to be built now, it will only cost about £8,000 extra to make it be compliant to net zero. So I wonder why the government would not choose that. Let the builders pay £8,000 more to make us be compliant, and then we'll deal with the rest of the buildings that are before now that needs to go to the retrofit.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, whereas we are moving forward with let all buildings be the same and they will all fall in line to retrofitting, which is every household rather than, in fact, even with the margin, if the construction companies are putting the £8,000 and they said, in terms of your mortgage, you will have to end up paying an extra 12,000. That still makes a lot of sense for any householder. But for you to say that, if I have to comply, I have to look for an investment of £33,000 on my housing.
Right.
That to me isn't a good way of. But politics being as it were, is all about the numbers and how you how you lobby. So,
Something
but
very,
that's where we are today in the United Kingdom.
yeah, very interesting. Again, this
And
information.
lastly, the cost of living too is still in the frame, because we are in autumn, we are heading towards winter, and that means there is going to be a high cost of energy, And so far, Russian gas is still not coming so well to Europe. And so we're going to pay more for energy bill. The energy that we import from other parts of the world is not as cheap as it comes from Russia. But because of this war in Ukraine, which has caused uh, a not stable business relationship with Russia, yeah, we might have to face that again. So the
Oh,
cost of, the cost of living is still part of is still in the frame.
so that means that the future is looks a little bit bleak.
Oh
Anyway,
yes, bleak
yeah.
is the word.
Okay, let's move quickly. This might be a little bit trivial. This might be a little bit not very popular, but for some discerning heads or minds, a lot of people, some people, including myself, we always think that why all these what we've been talking about policy, we talk about developmental policy plans, arrangements to move the country higher and higher to stabilize economy, their social, cultural put together. None of the area is really feeling apart from the problem of one thing leading to another that might make the government to start to cut down on some area. But when you holistically look at what is happening in Europe governance in civilized country, and for some reasons it is completely opposite, is clouded black in most African countries. When I say most, almost African countries, because the time we have been talking, we hardly want to see what Africa have done uh, for herself. What have
Mm.
they done to uh, show a comparison to one of the smallest place like Luxembourg, like one of the smallest area again. There's another one area, Luxembourg, Austria, and some other places that they're able to feed, they're able to manage their social strata in such a refined, civilized manner and way. What exactly is strong with African countries? What exactly? Why are they getting it wrong? And most especially when you see their natives, their people, they're doing very well in Europe, but then the same person with the same qualification, the same experience, who is professor of this, professor of that, now gets to when he has if you are to start working in Liberia or in somewhere in Uganda, the result is awful,
Yes.
disgusting, nothing to show for the people. Walk me through, please. I give you 2 3 minutes to do that. Walk us
Okay.
through. What exactly is the problem?
The problem is very simple, though it's elaborate, but it's very simple. And I will summarize it in this way: the answer is in the detail. Like they will say, the devil is in the detail. Yes. What Africans have ended up having is the shorthand of the stick. We, pardon me for saying this because in my local parlance, I'm a Yoruba. And ayé aláyé là fẹ́ là ń gbé. Eh, the translation of that is we are living in other people's world. The Africans want to live in other people's world. There is a misfit for Africans with the systems that we have. We have succumbed, or we have agreed, or we have decided that we want to take wholesomely the idea of democracy as preached, as practiced, as shown by uh, the area, by um, the white man. But what we failed to understand, which is the detail in this whole policy, just the same way as the economic policy that the West or the East is preaching to the world. What we fail to understand is these are systems, or these are structures, these are processes that came out of a cultural revolution in Europe. So it has become part of their lifestyle. But what we are importing is a framework that does not fit into our cultural being. So that is where the conflict is. Somebody feel that, oh yeah, uh, democracy is good, but in his practice, he does not enjoy being democratic. He, his nature, his propensity is to be autocratic. But he wants to say to the world that because I've been exposed to certain education, certain ways of doing things, certain understanding, certain technology, I want to be counted as somebody who appreciates democracy. But when it comes to the practice, the nitty-gritty of it, being sportsmanship and all that, he found himself struggling with the personality or the person or the cultural buildup that he is. That had been the bane of Africa. And that's why we say that why do we have so much C-type leaders in Africa, leaders who have turned themselves to God, who do this, who do that? Because that seems to be their person, is the cultural being of the people of this part of the world. You get it? And we are not building a structure or a system or processes that fit into that cultural aspiration. Rather, we are bringing a process that has been established to work perfectly well in one cultural environment and felt, you know what, all we needed is just bring it wholesomely and then put it here and it's going to work. No, it's not. It's not. And the same way pervade in every aspect of our life, because that's why most of the time, once they flag the name of one particular African that is a success in the Western world, either in the United States, oh, he's the best gynecology in the United States, oh, he's the best physician, oh, he's the best aerospace engineer, or he's the best banker. The nation, the country to which from which he is attached from Africa will be starting after him or her, trying to say, oh, come home, come and do this, come and do that, forgetting that it is the teamwork, it is the cultural system that that person has infused himself or herself into that promotes that success. We tend to arrogate everything to that single person. Now, oh, for him to have succeeded is just all about him. It's not the environment that created him. You get it? And then we bring him here, does not have all those facilities and all that. And it's even stifled with the local cultural thing that probably is giving him struck system to want to pollute or corrupt him. It's either he subjects himself or herself to become subsumed in that new system or find it difficult to make deliverables in that system. So those are the problems that has embattled Africa for so long. And I won't say for so long, for some time that is going to be in continuity, because we have not recognized that there is that disparity. We have not recognized that there is need for a reset, that these things are not working. It's like when the IMF or whoever, when they prescribed their condition, things that will possibly even work elsewhere, you find why is it not working here? Or you even ask yourself, why are certain things happening here that it's not possible to, I don't know why a country like Zimbabwe is still in existence when you need to buy tissue paper with about 30 million Zimbabwean dollar. I mean, it's outrageous. When you need to buy tissue paper with that kind, it's hyperinflation that transcends any other economist reasoning. But you find the resilience of the Zimbabwean people, which is peculiar to Africa. You get it? That there's still, how are people making life out of this nonsense? You get what I mean? It's incomprehensible, but those are the exceptions that means there is something cultural to the people that makes them exist in that kind of trust. Yet you are trying to prescribe a different prescription from the Western system to treat the problem. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. It's like if you have, most of the thing I've said, I've repeated, it's like, I hope people are taking it that I'm citing illustrations or examples. They are not real life situations. So it's like if the World Bank said, okay, we want to advance a loan or a grant to one African countries, and those who are meeting the World Bank official, let's say 8 officials from the country, and among the 8, three of them are already thinking how to corner part of that money for their own personal aggrandizement, for their own personal use. Right there, they are already thinking, oh, when this money comes, I'm going to float a company to access it. I'm going to do this. They're already masterminding, planning, plotting how they're going to, things that were going to disrupt the particular purpose that those funds were meant for. You get it? Unlike when you have it on the other side, where if they are advancing such money to Netherlands, people who are seated there are thinking, okay, well, we are going to judiciously use money to facilitate our public transport system, to make housing be available. Those housings those people are talking about is not where they want to live. They're not thinking of themselves. They're not thinking, oh, if we build 200 houses units, I'm going to make sure that I get 60 out of it. No. They're considering which localities are deficient with housings that we can put those investment funds, which communities are deficient with public transportation that we can upgrade, which communities are lacking in healthcare facilities that we can establish, which countries have educational difficulties that we can intervene with those funds. Yes. So it's a converse when you have it elsewhere, and that's the problem. When the culture, the underlying culture are there that stifles this idea. We see the ideas, we borrowed it, we just bring it, but it's like people who are wrestling with themselves. That are, like I said, simply put, it's just ayalaye langbe. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting because I'm just wondering, like, um, since I've been in Europe since 1970, and when I calculate it's almost about 53, 54 years, and I keep looking for where uh, uh, the governance problems remain with election. Governance in Europe is fraught with problem of no water, no road, no education, no everything. The benefits that are due to the elderly, the Medicare, and so on and so forth. I just get into this, the needy in such a clockwise. It has never stopped. Instead, they just uh, try to improve on it. There now, government has been announcing that everybody will be entitled to 300 pounds, 500
Yeah.
pounds, 300 pounds. Those of you
Depending on your circumstances.
who are qualified for this, not loans, benefits, it will go to your
Yes.
account. It will get to you. You do not need to do
Yes.
anything. So when I look at this kind of thing, maybe I'm talking to, I just look at it and think, oh my God, ṣé ọmọ Ọlọ́run làwọn people yìí ṣá? I mean, ṣé ọmọ Ọlọ́run ni àwa dúdú, àwa Yorùbá, àwa Africans? Because the way we operate, at the jọra lójú, we are just too good. And that takes me to the next area of a discussion before I go to the major part of the talk tonight. PhD.
Can I quickly add something,
Yeah,
sir?
like 1 minute
Uh,
because I'm looking at the
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. 1 minute. I want that discussion to snow dive into an addition in the political arena. Um, for instance, the one I want to add is uh, recently there have been I've seen some of political leaders in Nigeria particularly that have been interviewed. We know that the political situation in Nigeria right now. I mean, after the election, most of the elections have been contested at the tribunal, and there have been all manners of outcomes. Now, some governors have been sacked, which they have appealed. Even those who did not win the presidency have gone on appeal too. So there have been a lot of appeal. The court is inundated with a whole lot of issues regarding the election that took place in February and March. So my take is this: most of the politicians that have been interviewed, have consistently seen, maybe on few occasions, when those reporters or the journalists have put this question to some of them, that why must election end up in the court? Election is supposed to be a mandate from the people. It should start and end with people voting, results counted, and being validated. Why do we inundate the court to be where it will it's like you can win legally, but you do not win the mandate of the people. For instance, if the court eventually said where there are 250,000 votes, and the court said, oh, you know what, 160,000 of those votes are invalid, and at the end of the day make a governor out of maybe 25,000 votes in a state where there is about 2 million voters, how legitimate will you say, just because the court have granted it, how legitimate will you say that governor is? He won an election confirmed by court with only 25,000 votes, when there was a total vote in the election of about 500,000. But when you went to court, they started dissecting and removing and do all manners of legal something about it. And end up that, we have to cancel some of these results, and only 25 people are actually eligible to. It's a crisis. Now, my question is, they've asked this politician, what can we do to remove court from this matter? None of them so far have suggested that we politicians need to curb ourselves, become sportsmen in accepting results.
Yeah,
Rather,
because
all of them are spoken like,
it's a do or die.
no, the court must still be involved.
Yes, because for an average politician in Nigeria, it's a do or die.
You don't see that.
It's a do or die.
That's why I said we have a cultural problem. We are not having it to say that, wait a minute, this is a contest. If I don't win, let it be fair and square. You get it? Let's sit down on the table and let's talk about this. In this country, when there is election, there is election. You don't hear it in court.
The last 100 years, no, you can't go to court.
But once the result is declared, the result is declared. Everybody, those who do not win, lick their wound or probably prepare for another time. Yes, if whatever they are campaigning for is still relevant. Yes, they have to oil their machinery and said, okay, there's going to be another day. But we don't have it there. And they're not even contemplating. That's my issue there. They're not even contemplating in changing that attitude, in changing that culture. It's not even in the agenda. They're not even contemplating at all. How do we manage ourselves? And say that, that's what I'm saying.
Let me interject you. But a while ago, 1 or 2 minutes ago, you already described who we are, the kind of people we are. We have not developed our own lifestyle. We have not developed our own way of life. We have not developed our own Medicare. There are certain things you cannot reinvent. Of course, I'm not expecting us to reinvent innocent motor to. You can change the outlook. You can change it, but the mechanism, the composition, the things put together to make a car operate we can't, we may not be able to do it. We cannot even change that, even though China is departing from all these uh, known part of way to do things. But because of time, I wanted to arrange for a short break, but I think I got a message now. I can continue. Now, PhD, not the one you get. I know you. I know you started your own PhD, but then uh, this PhD we're talking about is a PhD of a way of life. Even it's shocking to find out that ordinary tailor that are living proximity around near each other are still operating on PhD structure. You know, and I'm really surprised. I must say this. Even individual, those who are even not in politics, they just choose to want to PhD you, for just no reason. Well, for those, some of us who are just used to that, we just laugh at them and say, how else can you be stupid? If you want to PhD me, well, go ahead and do it. If that will increase your earning or whatever, go ahead and do it. Now, Segun, there's another area that I want us to look into, and that is this issue of the CSU. I know it's not going to go away. The CSU, the Chicago State
Okay.
University, is
Yeah.
not going to go away. But what I know, and also before I ask the question, I'm aware that the best place to play with mumus, sorry, I say that word, where you can take advantage of people, you can whip up their emotion, you can make them to become a emotion carrier. You can even mix the air. Air is free oxygen. You can pollute it with unnecessary sensationalism, making them to sing your song, saying stupid things. Even though all of them put together, packed together, they are just making noise. For them, is it is how loud it is. The louder the noises, that the music be nice to hear. What what is likely outcome? Again, we need to be very careful. We don't want to subdue. What is
Yeah.
the likely outcome? The likely outcome of this shenanigan, noise, PhD, and so on and so forth. And please, before you answer the question, let me use this opportunity to say I am having a one-on-one conversation with my regular, is a global analyst, Segun Daniel. He is an expert in many areas, and those are genuine. He can show his not only the transcript, but you can phone Obafemi Obafemi Awolowo University,
University, of course.
and
And
University.
lot, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Phone. And then, unfortunately, he has within a short period of time been able to study law,
Yeah,
know law, do
of
law,
course.
and also he's an economics. He's also an agricultural whatever expert and social critic. So please check, combine holistically the issue of this PhD and the present saga. What effect is eventually going to have, and not not forgetting,
Yeah.
is all this not going to be affected? Is it going to affect really the governance, which you have somebody who is determined to fix, change things?
Okay. I can imagine Nigerians watching this program, maybe averagely, and this is just being speculative. Averagely, if you ask any viewer, they probably will have asked themselves or asked somebody, Otumba, who shows? Who is Otumba? They said, "Oh, is this, is that? What qualification does he have?" That is who we are. We tend to pay more attention, more prime on paper qualification. Oh, he's guest. Oh, what qualification does he have? What certificate? That's who we are. And secondly, on the other side, on the flip side, those of us who wants to parade, we have PhD, we have masters. You see them too saying, "Oh, I'm a master of this, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this." We always try to shout out this our qualification, whether to intimidate others or just for the sake of the optics. So it's either way, that is culturally we are. And that in itself is propelling us into crisis. Because those who cannot measure up are now devising ways of being acceptable. That means either way, either to go forge it or to go get it somehow, back door, front door, or whatever. So that had become a turmoil in this in the system as well. Now, coming to this latest issue about the uh, CSU, Chicago matter, and all that. I want Nigerians to be very, very clear of certain things, because if we muddle up the whole matter, we will not get a clear picture of what we are dealing with here. The case, and without being prejudiced to the Supreme Court, the case before the Supreme Court today arises from an appeal against the decision of the lower court, the tribunal, the Presidential Electoral Tribunal. That is the case that is before the Supreme Court. No single individual have gone to Supreme Court to institute a suit, to institute a case, and said, oh, I have a case against this person. No. This case is arising as an appeal that there is a deliberation on a matter before a court. The court has given its verdict. It has given its judgment. That is the Presidential Petition Tribunal. It has decided its case. It is the decision of that case that is being challenged, nothing else. That is what is coming.
Are you saying the expedition that has just been completed but not concluded of one of the candidates in America?
Don't let us jump the gun. I will come to that. I want people to understand this, how it's happening. That for Supreme Court to be contemplating today that we have a case before us in terms of the presidential election is because that case emanated from the tribunal that first looked at it. No candidate in that election had gone to Supreme Court and said, oh, I want you to come and listen to my grievance, to my issue or what. No. It's because one court have decided first and they are not happy with that decision. That is why Supreme Court will institute a sitting on that case. So that is what is going to happen at the Supreme Court. Now, given that, the peculiarity of this situation is this court is not sitting on somebody bulldozed my house, somebody stole my money, somebody killed my wife, somebody abducted my daughter. It is so generous. That means it is a court set for a special purpose. Only one jurisdiction it has. That is that election. It's only superintending on matters that occurred about that election. That is it. It's only about that. It is nothing else but that. And that is why it's a peculiar, special one. Some lawyers have been talking about, oh, the Supreme Court can do this, Supreme Court can do that. Some cases stand at the Supreme Court for 3 years before judgment are given. This one must start and end within 60 days. That is how special it is. Because it's looking at only just one issue. You can't bring extraneous matters into it. And
So
yet
people
are claiming, oh, Supreme Court can allow this, can allow that. They are taking cases that arises from civil cases, civil matters that were pending for so long. Their processes are quite different. The procedures are quite different. But they are using it to disinform, misinform, and abuse the information that are even true in the public space.
Mm.
So as it were now, the court, the lower court, which is the Court of Appeal, that sits as a tribunal on that matter, gave a verdict. That verdict had been challenged by an appeal into the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to hear that case. So we want to rest it there. However, something had come up within the space of filing that appeal, which is one of the candidates has went on a voyage. He has went on an expedition of discovery. He wanted to find out some other things, maybe something to amuse himself and later play as a soap opera for Nigerians to enjoy. However, he had come up with some things and he has told it to the Nigerians that, okay, I've gotten these things, I've gotten that things, and this is what I want to use it for. That is where the question comes in, which made people want to make comment that, oh, what you have found out, is it relevant to the matter for which you want to use it? Is it admissible by the processes that is going to deliberate on it? That had been the issue now. That whether what this man have discovered is admissible by the constituted authority, which is Supreme Court, that want to adjudicate on this matter. If it is, how easy or how difficult the admissibility will be. Two is, are those things in our own purview, without prejudice to the Supreme Court, relevant to the case that is before it, for it to even be associated with whether it will be admissible? This campaigner in the person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar have repeatedly said, you know what I have armed myself with, or the discovery I have found, are very much relevant. I do not expect him to say anything less. Even if they are not. I do not expect him to say anything. And he had gone on a voyage again to want to recruit as many people as possible to entertain such comedy. However, the onus or the power is still within the Supreme Court to decide that whether that will be acceptable and admissible or not. But let's give few parameters for what will make it look probably sensible. Now, fortunately today, I listened on the news where one of the candidates in that election, in the person of Mr. Peter Obi, said that the president, in person of Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, should come clean to the Nigerian, to the public, about this allegation, mark my word, that he should come clean about the allegation of his identity and his certificate. He enjoined him to address the Nigerian people about his true name, his date of birth, his place of birth, his nationality, his parentage, his qualification, and his certificate. That is what he enjoined the president to do, so as to put this matter to rest. And I referred back. He said allegation. This is a person that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar himself has asked or wanted to co-opt and said, join me in prosecuting this matter with this newfound love of evidences or of discoveries that I have made. And here he comes saying that what Atiku have in his hand are allegations. Let us now sit back and look at it. Supreme Court is not a court of trial.
No.
What Obi is saying is an allegation had been made against the president, and it's even in his own thought, in his own understanding, in how meticulous, how reasonable, Obi is giving the president a fair right of reply. that it is not enough for somebody to allege something against you. It is good enough for you to have response. That's why he's calling on the president. Now, if such document which makes allegation is taken to the Supreme Court, are you saying that the Supreme Court will now put the president on trial? In which case, it's now deviating from looking at the election. Is trying the president. That's what it means. Because this is not a verdict. This is not a court ruling. This is allegation, as Obi said. So if that document or if those matters, those discovery are taken to Supreme Court as allegation, is Supreme Court going to call the president, come and defend it, which becomes a trial?
Okay.
So that means the question of admissibility is very, very strong. Because the process, if I accept those discovery, for what use would the Supreme Court use it? Would the Supreme Court use it for trial? To say that, or would the Supreme Court take an allegation to mean a verdict? That just because this person have alleges, then the president was actually guilty.
Right.
But it cannot be said that the president should come there to be tried. That come and, just as Obi have asked him, that come and make a deposition against what is being alleged against you. Come and tell us your own side of the story. That can happen. So I hope we all understood that in that light. Secondly, is there has been a deviation. I thought what Atiku and PDP said earlier, just the same drain with Obi and Labour Party, was they won the election. I have not seen so far in the election, the presidential electoral petition, where they established how they won the election. So far, their campaign, I wouldn't say it's a campaign of calumny, but it's a campaign of vengeance, had been how to stop this person that have been declared winner. They are not pushing their own case that I won the election. They're not doing that. They're only saying that no, this person must be pulled down. So this had become another way to say that the Supreme Court should lose the eyes on the election issues that is before it and started trying the person, rather than looking at the core of the matter before it. Why was the presidential election petition set up? It was to adjudicate on the result of the election, the outcome of the election. It's the result, to which I claimed, and I've said earlier, that these two other gentlemen did claim that they won. The onus is on them. It's their burden to prove how they won. But they left that. They left the idea of proving how they won the election. They are now concentrating in fact, not that they are now, from outset, only on pages of newspaper and in the media houses were they talking that they won. At the court, they were talking on how to say this person is not. I mean, I don't get it. It's a mismatch. You are in the courtroom not talking how you won. You come out to claim that you won election. Election is about people who casted their vote, whose votes were counted, whose result was announced. If you have a figure that is different from what you produce it. But rather, we are going after the person, the personality, the whatever. In fact, all manners of anything that linked or connected to the person. I don't think that was what Nigerians voted for. It is the mandate, is the ballot of every individual that voted in that election that was counted that matters. If those who have voted overwhelmingly for Asiwaju Tinubu have done so with their mind and heart, let them have the day. For those who did not, let them think otherwise. Yes, this cannot go on this way. I mean, it's like we want to tear down the house just because I feel hot.
Yes. Thank you very much. I knew that you are going to do justice to the area of PhD, pull him down, pull her down, and that has been the hallmark. That has been our lifestyle. That has been the way. That's the kind of a mandate we get from ourselves. We make it mandatory that I just have to pull you down, no
Ah.
matter what. And like somebody said, and I believe that even at the end of the day, that if we have been educated society, we are not. If we are educated society where our preoccupation is not Owambe party, that kind of thing, we don't even know anything. It's even shocking that some of these people that we expect to know better, they are doctors, lawyers, professors, engineers, and different kind of. They still behave like people in the Haiti. Now, let me quickly go because of time. We have a very good news on the 9th of this month. One of the national leader of Yoruba campaign movement, uh, Oloye Sunday Igboho, was freed. Was told that Goye, you are very free. You can do whatever. You can go wherever you like. And in the process, well, wherever you want to go is not even our business. We don't have any. We are satisfied with our investigation. We have concluded. We are quite. Then come the euphoria. We are all very happy. Ecstatic. Everybody is happy. Yahoo! Shifolo Igboho is free. So, and knowing the way I can imagine how he has been thinking. The last 2 years wasn't, it cannot be a joke. Like I was also saying on the program, issue of freedom. Freedom is in fact, freedom is more than you having money. Because even if you have money and you don't have the freedom, how do you spend the money? But if you have freedom, you don't have the money, you can still maximize your freedom and do some other things happily. Now, as a global analyst, as also a member of these uh, campaigners, I mean, that believes that Yoruba nation can subsequently emerge, should subsequently emerge, it will be a good thing, even though you have always said the way to go about it is the only concern you have. Well, let's join hands together on this program to congratulate, and there's also double congratulations. The
Yeah.
freedom on the 9th, and then his birthday was yesterday. Um, you and I want to join together and congratulate Chief Chief
Sunday Igboho.
Igboho
Sunday Adeyemo.
Adeyemo. Happy birthday to you, sir.
Good.
Well done.
Congratulations to Sunday Igboho, to Adeyemo.
Yes. We
Long
want to,
life and
yes,
prosperity. We wish you peaceful living and more rewarding, fruitful life.
yes. Here again, millions of Yoruba people have seen this man as a hero because he stood up for a cause, and that has earned him and placed him to the position where he is today. I'm also one of the campaigners, like I said. I've always chosen any opportunity I have to talk about Yoruba nation. Having said this, number one, what do you want to say to Chief Sunday Igboho?
Okay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk on the matter. There are a lot of issues around the individuals that we have mentioned, but I think we will only localize it to few matters that are germane important. Um, but before I go into that, I want to quickly, lest I forget, that's why I want to quickly divert to this. There is there is uh, there is a new development in Nigerian polity today. Was it today? From yesterday, and it should be something of concern to us because it's developing, and I can bet you it's going to metamorphosize into a very big trouble. And that's why I talked earlier about the culture, our culture. Some would say our culture of impunity. Yesterday, a court in Abuja, a high court in Abuja, gave a ruling disqualifying Chief Ciprime Silva from contesting the Bayelsa State government election that is scheduled to take place by November 11, which is just about a month from now. He is being disqualified by a court of law in Abuja. Pardon me. Why I'm bringing this to the fore is this. When that matter broke, the person involved, which is the premier,
Da Silva.
have responded that he's going to appeal. His party, APC, have responded that they are going to appeal. And I look at the bucket of their appeal. It sounds logical. But there is a detail that they are missing out, which I suppose is going to constitute that problem. One, the revised or the amended Nigerian Electoral Law 2022 forbade anybody who does not contest in the primary of a party for any elective position to challenge the outcome of that election. That is, only those, the Premier wanted to be a governor in Bayelsa, only those aspirants who contested in APC have the locus. They are the only people that can challenge. Before now, anybody could. You get it? Even people from outside of the party. But the amended electoral law have closed that window and only make it available for very few number of people. Only those who participated in that election, who are aspirants in that primary, have the locus, have the right, have the opportunity, have the choice to challenge his eventual candidature. So, but this gentleman that has gone to court that got this judgment did not participate at that primary. That's why I said their locus, I mean their what is it called? Their ground of appeal seems very reasonable, because that is violation of that electoral law. That is going outside of the provision of the law. The man does not have a locus. So the court shouldn't have listened to his case. Yes. That is one ground for which APC is saying we're going to challenge this. Very sound, very brilliant. The second thing is, this judgment had now come out. Assuming, and this is just an assumption, and yet they will go ahead and challenge this ruling that the petitioner, the claimant, has no jurisdiction to institute that case, and so have a day of execution or have the court reverse the decision of the lower court. Because that is the Court of Appeal reversing the decision of the High Court. If that is done, what they do not consider in this whole process is this. Oh, secondly, I think the man did mention it, but he failed to understand the detail. He said that, yes, that's the lawyer speaking for APC, that this matter that this person have done, that once the appeal court vanquished it, that it is of no importance any longer, and then the premier will contest the election. Secondly, that matter is a pre-election matter. It's a pre-election matter talking about his qualification. Very brilliant as well, because even Supreme Court have ruled on certain ground that such matters could be regarded as pre-election, in which case it could not be brought into an electoral petition. That is when a proper general election is conducted, that you cannot bring such pre-election matters to challenge. But this is where the conundrum could be. If the premier wins the appeal, truly, that I said, okay, by way of what we consider that this man, on the ground, that this man indeed does not have locus to challenge you. But the fact of the verdict is, it's a constitutional aberration. That is what the court have said. The verdict of the constitution bears on the constitution that Chief Premier Silva had been elected twice,
And the Constitution says,
had been sworn in twice, and have enjoyed the office for 5 years. The constitution only envisaged that anybody going to the office of the governor or president cannot have more than 2 terms or 4 years, which is a total of 8 years. If by any error or any commission, the premier win this election or get into office, is going to spend another 4 years, which stipulate beyond the 8 years.
that will have contravened.
Cumulative. And he will have been sworn in 3 times. That is a constitutional issue. Now, why I'm saying this is this. It does not remove the fact, because what they would have won was, this man that brought this matter does not have locus. But if he wins the election and the opposition party now goes to the petition tribunal, one of the grounds for challenging election itself, as enshrined in the law, is disqualification. On ground of qualification, yes, you need to separate whether that disqualification is pre-election or post-election. In which case, the electoral law have made it difficult, impossible, for PDP, Labour Party, APM, NMPP, and all manners of party to challenge the premier now when it is before the election. So they cannot challenge him. They cannot look into the primaries of APC. But once the election takes place, they can bring issues of disqualification after the election.
Yes.
They have a locus.
Right.
They cannot say that it still remains pre-election. So those people can now come to court and say that this man has been sworn in twice. He has been in that office for 5 years. Making him to enjoy this now is a breach of the constitution. Why I'm saying all this is this, and it could happen that he will not get there because of it. But why I'm saying this is this, and that's why I said we have a cultural problem. It maybe is a culture of impunity. What does it take for them to save their resources now and call that APC, called the premier and said, come, this doesn't look good. Even if we win this against this so-called errand member of our party who has taken you to court, there is a challenge, a bigger challenge waiting for us ahead. Why do we want to risk that? Yes, and that's why I said the politicians, they're not even contemplating how to become sportsmen.
No.
Yes, because I don't know why they can't have that conversation now. Then you win, and then we started committing resources into going to court. And I'm telling you that this does not look good at all. Unless they're going to railroad their way into giving him that mandate. Well, another thing is, it could be a problem of if the people have voted him as their candidate, because that's where the mandate arises. So it will now come on the Supreme Court to determine whether to flout the Constitution and say we are paying countenance to, he indeed got the mandate of the people to govern them. But we will trample on the constitution provision that made it that he cannot be in the office for more than 8 years.
And
That
that's
he will
likely.
become,
Yeah.
that's it. And the Supreme Court is not court of emotion. It's not court of public uh, sympathy. It's a court of law. Any other court itself, not only Supreme Court, they are the habitats and the custodian of the law. They are court of competence, jurisdiction, and court of law. So
Mr.
I don't know how they want to discountenance that. I mean, given that whether their campaign will be, he had the overwhelming vote of the people, his people wanted him, and he had won the election overwhelmingly. Yes, that's a mandate, but can that mandate stand in the face of the law to trample the constitution? That would be a conundrum. And I'm
Thank you.
saying that why are we walking that pedestal now?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
where I said, yes, when we can nip it in the bud. That's where I said why can't we just be sportsmanship and say, wait, when we look at this whole thing holistic, the bigger picture.
And also from experience, we are talking about someone who has always been in governance the last how many hundred
Because
years.
it's
He
just
has
going to
always
be
been there.
a
He
quick
always been
win
there.
now for
Yeah.
you to have a bigger battle tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Because of
Like
time.
I said, even if they win because of they can challenge these guys locals now, it still does not mean that they are saving the bloody day ahead.
Yeah. I need to
So
interrupt you. I think there was a
let's
quick.
come to okay.
Yeah, there was a quick mixed up there, and I'm happy you bring this also because again the program is here all about to inform our people to understand that we roll out information that are very useful. We don't do emotion on the Otumba Who latest talk show. And before I let you go back to saying something
It's
about
on
saying,
Chief
hang on a minute.
Steve.
Let me use this opportunity to say to everybody here, I'm bringing a well-known media guru. Let me put it that way. A well-known media guru whom I've known for years, even before he started his campaign of Yoruba people must go. He's been steadfast. He's been consistent. And the beauty of this guy is he has learned so much on the job. Is it on the job? You see that? Yeah. Yeah, he learned so much. He's done very well for himself. He's going to be my guest tomorrow, 6 o'clock UK time, and we're going to have fun. I'm going to be rubbing mind with him, asking him questions, but that will only be only about a Yoruba campaign group. Probably nothing much there. So please join me tomorrow, 6 o'clock on Otumba Who latest show. My guest, I don't want to start mentioning names now. Otherwise, there's going to be a kind of a PhD. We don't want that. And I don't believe in that. It's just funny. But look forward to having me and my guest tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Otumba Who latest.
You can give them appetizing news
Yeah.
if you
That,
announce this news so that people can start it.
that's true. This guy who I said I believe I've known him even before the advent of the campaign about Yoruba Nation is the one that is popularly known and called White Lion. Even there are some counterfeits that emerge, Black Lion, Yellow Lion, but we all know that they are all counterfeits because in the process we discover that they just Gberoru. They are liars, they are vandalizers, they are just like people you cannot do business with. So tomorrow my guest is going to be Olayomi Koiki. You all know
Okay,
him.
good. Good.
Please, like I
So
said,
that's
join.
very appetizing.
Yes,
We need
I,
people look
I,
forward.
I'll be rubbing mind with him. He's
Okay.
my son, he's my friend, he's my colleague, he's everything to me, and I do highly appreciate him. So when he comes on board tomorrow, be prepared to join us, and you may be able to call. And I have only 4 minutes, Segun Daniel, just to
Okay.
talk quickly about Sunday. And really, when if it's expired the 4 minutes, I just have to sign off. My producer
Okay.
is saying, yeah.
Yeah. Once again, I congratulate Chief Sunday Adeyemo, Chief Sunday Igboho, and is released and is having his freedom and enjoying being with his family. And may God bless him and protect him and guide him and make him forthright in his plan, in his decisions, and his endeavors. Coming to issues arising regarding his involvement or his action while he was in Nigeria and all that. I think we should be clear of certain things. Chief Sunday Igboho, I, 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 to the best of my knowledge, his stays in Benin Republic was not a criminal issue. His stays in Republic was at the behest of Nigerian government that requested for him to be stopped while he was on his way to. That's if my information are very correct. While he was on his way to Germany. So with all intentions and look, Chief Sunday Igboho had not stepped on the soil of Benin Republic to have committed any offense. And I repeat, he had not stepped on the soil of Benin Republic to have committed any offense for which he was charged. No. So the offenses for which he was charged at Benin Republic originated from Nigeria asking for a help to secure him, which eventually involved even request for his repatriation. So if all that cases had now been dissolved or have been finalized, yeah, it's all well and fine. So he was never really under any contravention of the Benin Republic law. So we need to get that clear. There was no reason for him to have said, I've been persecuted or prosecuted for anything wrongdoing within the territory of Benin Republic. To the best of my knowledge, if there is any other contrary, I'm sorry, I will have to retract the statement I made. But however, to the current information that I have, he has not. So fortunately, all whatever debacle that have arisen have been put to end now. Finally, he has returned, just as those matters were finalized, he could have chosen, and I've said in the past, because there have been people who have raised it with me that what is stopping Chief Sunday Igboho going back to Nigeria? His mother died, they are not letting him, they are not doing this, that. And my first response to them was, did he say that you people should request this on his behalf? If he does, I'm sorry, I do not know when. But if it is something that he is very germane to himself, now I told them the steps he could take. But now I've been what I stated then are nothing but the truth. Because like I said, that Chief Sunday Igboho is at liberty to go to anywhere. Now that he has finalized this matter in Republic of Benin, he chooses to move to Germany and not Nigeria. It's the same way he could have chosen to go back to Nigeria.
Thank you.
Yes, that was what I told them then, that he is at liberty as far as I'm aware of.
Then, as a lawyer,
pending case. Yes, there is no existing pending case in court. Maybe he has other civil cases in Nigeria, but instituted by government of Nigeria against him, there was none. What I'm aware of was DSS, the state security operatives, wanted to arrest him at his residence, and they were unable to do so because he was not available.
okay.
So,
Thank you.
peradventure, there was an existing, or there is still an existing, or because he was not found then, no notice of any warrant of arrest had been shown. So whether it was an invitation that took them there, or they actually was equipped with a warrant of his arrest, no one knew.
Thank you very much, Segun Daniel. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I have to interrupt you because I have
But
said
we thank God that he's now
yes in
sitting
Germany,
with his
safe and
family.
well.
And there are, again, let me quickly add, sir. There
No,
are a
no,
lot of opportunities that he can tap into now that is in Germany.
yes,
Please let him endeavor, those who are close to him, let him endeavor to take advantage of such opportunities to equip himself with good informations and appraisals of how to deal with matters.
okay.
You get
Thank
it?
you very
So,
much. I must go. And like I said, tomorrow, if you are listening, if you are watching this show, please share. I know today and every day there are many bloggers, there are many outlets that goes out. I understand, but the good thing about that is a plenty, large number of choices. You can pick on the way you are all spoiled to watch different show, different programs. So you can pick on, don't pick on emotional ones. Just pick on the one you think I can learn from this. Segun Daniel, how else can I take? I know we do this on and off regularly. Yeah, I know you're going to come back again and again and again. I want to thank you very much for being there for me
you're
that we
welcome.
are able to talk together. So tomorrow, my guest is going to be a well-known media person among the Yoruba campaigner, Yoruba Nation campaigners. His name is um, Olayomi Shoiki, the White Lion of Yoruba, and he's also the spokesperson for Chief Sunday Igboho. So see you then. Thank you very much for watching. This
Thank
is
you, everyone. Do
yes.
have a wonderful evening and
Thank you.
wonderful morning or wonderful afternoon wherever
Yes.
you could be.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.